Hello, this is old Mr. Kent of MrKent.com, and if you've been following my channel very long, you may have seen the video of my grandson flying his little indoor drone for the first time, and of course he was pretty excited about that. And so, let's see. First of all, let me start like this. Over a year ago, my son gave me this Mavic 2 Zoom, and I could never have afforded it, so he gave it to me, and so I've got many videos on that. So then the next thing I did was late in 2019, they came out with the Mavic Mini, and I thought, this is cool because for one thing, you can fly it indoors, and the battery maintenance is a lot less intensive on the Mavic Mini. So I went from a $1,700 drone to a $500 drone, and I'm loving it. But then just a week or so ago, I went to a $30 drone. Now the reason is because that's what I bought for my grandson when I wanted to find something inexpensive that he could fly indoors and get comfortable flying a drone, because I let him fly my Mavic Mini in the park with a contained circle, and he did pretty good, and I thought, well, maybe he'd like his own. So there he is there, and if you've been following my videos, you know that he took his and I took my Mavic Mini, and we tried to fly him in the house a week or so ago, and that was a catastrophe. But in the meantime, I decided I'm going to get me one so the two of us can fly the same size drone and have a whole lot of fun together. And then once I did that and I got it home, I thought, this is a cool drone. And I'm not trying to sell, I don't tell you go get one, but if you want to have fun in the house with your kids and everything. And by the way, it's a 3-part video. First part is about this drone and what I've learned from it. Second part is, I'll tell you when we get there, okay? And then the third part is actually flying it. So let's open this up. And I'm not doing a box opening. If you want to call that a box opening, that's a box opening. But it comes with a controller and, of course, the drone. And it comes with 3 batteries, 1, 2, and 3. And then, of course, a nice little charger that'll charge 2 batteries at the same time, USB charger. And it has all this other stuff. You've seen box openings if you've looked at this stuff. And I'm not interested in doing that. What I want to do is point out how this thing holds altitude very well. And it's because it doesn't look at the ground. It just has a barometric altimeter in it. And so wherever it feels you, on the controller, when it feels you stop going up or something, it says, oh, this is where he wants it to be. And then when you go up again, and then, so it stays where you put it pretty well. Especially, I'm impressed by it. Especially if it's moving in the room, it stays at altitude much better. What happens is in any house of any size, you have air currents that flow around, and air currents tend to make it go sideways and stuff like that. So let me just tell you a few things about it quickly. All right, it weighs 22.5 grams. One battery will give you about 7 minutes, and I haven't timed it, but I've tested out, and if you fully charge the battery and run it until it's dead, you get, I'm sure you get 7 minutes. It's a long flight. So that's the thing. Now, when you start it up, you slide the battery in, and then you plug it in, and now it's sitting on the ground blinking. And so to pair it, what you do is you go forward. Well, first of all, you turn this on, and you wait a few seconds. And it might be 5 seconds. You wait a few seconds for everything to get it going inside, and then you push forward and back, and this thing, then it stops flashing and it's ready to go. And then that gets it paired up together. And then the next thing that is suggested, and I do it, is you pull both of them down to the bottom, and that will calibrate the gyro inside here to what's level. So you do that on a level surface. And I'm under the impression that you only need to do it once, but the manual says you ought to do it every time. Okay, and then when you get those two, it's ready to go. So you push this is the takeoff button and landing button. You push that, the props start to turn, and then you give it, by the way, these are not tender little control sticks. You gotta give them some distance, and because it's actually for beginners. And so you take it off and then get it up to where you want it. And then everything else works the same. This is go left, go right, go forward, go back. And this is, turn and then go up and down. So that's pretty much the same thing. Now, one thing that happened that I found is, it kept drifting sideways. Like, say, for instance, it's drifting to the right, okay? So then what I do is I turn it around, because that could be an air current, okay? And so if it keeps drifting to the right, then it needs to be trimmed. If it's drifting along like this, and then you turn it around and it keeps drifting, that's the air current in the house. But if it starts going the other way, then you trim it. So let's say that it's wanting to go right all the time. So to trim it, and by the way, it seems to remember the trim when you turn it off and you go to fly next time. I'm not going to guarantee that, but it sure looks to me like it does. So let's say we want to trim it to go left because it's going right all the time. You push down on this, all the way down, push that, and that'll go to the first trim notch. And usually you have to do about 2 of them to get it trimmed. But anyway, and then you turn it around and go the other way, and it should stay in one place. But there's air currents in the house, and for instance, we have a large living room, so when I fly down to this end of the living room, it might want to drift this way, and so it doesn't mean it lost its trim, it means there's a current down there. And another problem, especially in small rooms, a little drone like this flying indoors creates its own currents in that room, and so it makes it a lot more difficult to fly inside the room. All right, so what's more about this? It's got 3 speeds. I won't turn on, but you push this. It starts out in speed 1. You put it on. You do that, and then it goes to speed 2. You click that one again, and it goes to speed 3. Which, if you want to go really fast and stuff like that, and and then you push it again, it goes back to speed 1. So it's got those 3 speeds. Another thing, if it's about to go into something that it shouldn't go into, like your wife's flower, or something, you click both buttons at the same time, and it shuts it off right there. It's an emergency stop. Then another thing it has, which some people like, I'm not a fan of it, but if you push this button and then pull that back, it'll do a backwards flip. You push this button here, pull it sideways, it'll do a sideways flip. So it does 360 flips. And then finally, this button here, it goes into and comes out of headless. So if it's way far away and I don't know which way it's facing, and I'm standing in the same place I took off, then if I push this, no matter which way it's facing, if I pull back this way, it comes back toward me, and I can fly it around in the room and go whichever way I want. But it doesn't turn the drone when I do. This just moves it. Then if I want to get out of headless, push that, and now this works, to turn it around and everything like that. So it's a good little drone for $30, and if you have grandkids or something and you want to give them a drone to play with, that my grandson, he crashes into all kinds of stuff because he's just that way, but he can fly it really well. I'm amazed. And so anyway, that is part 1. All right. So that's just talking about this little HS-210 indoor drone. Okay. Now we'll go to part 2. When I got my Mavic Mini 2, one of the things I wanted to do was pick up stuff and get scrape stuff off the roof and all that kind of stuff. And so I made myself a little hook for the Mavic Mini Zoom, and that I could pick things up with. And then I also had a thing where I dropped candy to the kids below. So naturally, when I got this would also work with the Mavic Mini, but I got it for my grandson and me to play games like fly over that, pick it up, and and then land somewhere else and get rid of it while you're flying your little HS-210. All right, so one more project with milk cartons. Okay, so how do I make this little hook thing? These are this is the part right here, and there's 2 on each milk carton. Okay, so I'm not gonna go through the whole process of making them, but as you can see, I cut this out of a milk carton. I'll put that over there, and now we're going to make one hook, and then show you how you use shoe glue to glue them together. Man, this stuff is really nice if you want to glue milk cartons or whatever together, and it hardens in like a half an hour with this kind of stuff. So it's really nice. So so let's go ahead and get started here. First of all, probably want a sharp knife, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut. Well, we'll cut this. This has got to be up about right here, right there. Okay, and then we want to cut the handle at about the same place. Poke a hole in it, and you could probably do this with something besides a knife. Maybe the scissors would work. I don't know. We'll see. I think after you get it started, they would. Okay, so either one of these will work because they're both the same. So we'll work with this one. It's got a little bit shorter thing here, but that's okay. So the next thing we need to do is to make the hook. And so because we want to glue these all together, we're going to use the flat part for this part, and this is going to be the hook part. So what we'll do is we'll just take and we'll go up here to the end, and we'll cut straight back and go to the end and cut straight back. Okay, and then we'll come down. First of all, we'll just come down like so, and like so. You can make this for a game for any drone, actually. Come on, come on, come on. All right, so there's our hook part. Okay, now then what we're going to do is to get these guys together is we just take and we bend this right there, and as you can see, then all we have to do is shoe glue it to 2 other ones, put some goop there, and you got it. So that's pretty easy hook to make. And what you want to do is it's got to be made so that, let me get everything out of the way, so that when it hits the ground, this is long enough that the hooks are on the ground, and then you can drag along and catch. So, and then the way I glued the string, shoe glue. And this is just regular kite string. And then I put a loop in the other end, and let's find our little drone here. You could even never mind. Anyway, so we're going to take the loop and put it around here like so, and then make sure that like this one should be on the back and this should be on the front to keep it balanced. And then you'll notice that's going to pull it sideways, so you want to pull this over and pull this around, and you'll have to work on that a little bit to get it so it is in the center. If I can get it to, it wants to bind up in there. So let's just do this. When it comes together, it's in the center, because otherwise it's going to want to drift. If it's off to the side, it's going to want to drift. But then this goes along and picks up the hook, and then you fly around with the hook trying to hook it into any object that you, and by the way, you can make, this is just made out of strips from the other half of this guy. And just bend around and and shoe glued. But you can make it out of wire or anything. Now, I tried to use the packaging, the clear plastic packaging that the drone comes in, but that's too heavy. And this little guy just doesn't pick up a whole lot of weight. So the hook itself slows him down. And then anything heavier than this, I tried with some little thin wire, but anything a little heavier than that, it doesn't want to pick up. So that's you can put this together and make a game. And let's go play the game, okay?